references of no less than 2 individuals, first-hand knowledge. Both references must be from licensed commissioned venomous. So for example, when I moved here from out of state, I had nobody in state to deal with my, I didn't work with anybody in state. I worked with several facilities and things out of state. So do we want to really limit it to that, on that aspect?
There's also
Keep reading down. Read the order.
You keep reading them, there's.
Keep reading down and cover.
Keep going from here.
I would put in here though where it reads possibly or one be representative of professional. Because if you get, it seems like you have, and maybe that was the intent, it says or a representative. And without the one in there, it reads to me like it's all one way or all the other.
That's how I read it.
Yeah. You guys are saying? Examples of such organizations?
Yeah.
one representative instead of A? No, it's not.
If you put in there seeking authorization or one being a representative of a professional organization or governmental.
We're gonna limit it though.
Yeah, we don't want to limit it because somebody like, Darren Hand in here. Yeah.
And or a representative? Is it a or did you want to say?
And or?
Just leave it as it is. I would just say.
Yeah.
Okay, so scratch that? So he is saying scratch that, so we got it covered, but we're scratching it. Okay, let's keep going.
Before you
Oh,
go any
sorry, go
further,
ahead.
just going back up to A for just a second, is everybody okay with that? Because it's basically a strong limitation on grandfathers. So you would be grandfathered for whatever you have today, but if you wanted to get a different species within a family that you've maybe worked with for years, or maybe you've worked with in the past, you wouldn't be able to do that without showing compliance with all of the new regulations, which would be the new hourly requirements for the tiers, right? I have a real problem with
No,
that.
so do I. I mean,
Hold on. Can we,
If you have, tier one's tier one. So if you have worked with a tier one species in the past, you can have any tier one species.
That's not what it says.
Not with the changes you're proposing.
explain
There
to us where
needs to be
that's.
some wordsmithing here, it looks like, to make it
So
more.
let's ask this question. As a university researcher, my permit says I can have, right now, I can have any venomous snake, period, even sea snakes.
So there.
We've always tried.
And so, if I don't keep anything, but I keep my permit, and all these new rules go into effect, and then I want to get a tier one thing, I can still do it. But based on this language, what you're interpreting is I cannot. I have to go back through everything. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's the way
And
I
I don't think that's what you want to do. Maybe I'm wrong.
Well, what our goal was, someone who's only had, like, the bottom rung beginner species of a certain family should be able to go out and get the top rungs because they want to. Does that make sense?
That's for new people though, right? Not current licensees.
All right, hold on.
Or how about a renewal?
Current licensees, if you've never had anything that's tier one, you've only ever had tier three species, we're all saying
You just have to be trained.
that you should have to train to get the tier one stuff.
What about renewals?
Renewals, if you had it before, it's covered.
okay, bring me up to speed, I remember that.
Alright, there's some confusion here, so let's make sure we hammer this out.
So I
But
have-
we need to do this.
You can scroll back up to.
Yeah.
So I have total coverage of venomous, one.
A, no, right there, A. Yeah, down. Right there, where it says A, venomous reptiles.
So I have total coverage of venomous,
What is it?
excluding some.
Right, sea snakes, keep going.
And
Come on,
And
we're
that's
out
like
of
what I
time.
was bringing up.
are there now people that have a permit only to keep per family?
Yes.
Right. So the question is, if they have rattlesnake family only permit right now, that when this comes into effect, those, and they have never had in the past, right, experience with a lapidary, then they have to train and meet the requirements, right?
What about somebody that's
All right.
not?
I want to make a comment on this because, you know, I do train quite a few people that come through and work on mentoring them. And there are going to be many individuals, if the law is implemented like this, that are going to say, okay, well, if that's the case, even though maybe I'm not ready to keep mambas right now, I have the permit for a lapidary, but right now I'm just keeping monocle cobras and working my way up. They're going to go out and say, well, I'm never going to be able to have these at any point, so I'm going to go ahead and get them. All right, and it's going to be putting a lot of people into a position where they may be putting themselves in more danger than they should be if this was.
No, wait a minute, they already have that permit, so that's not an issue.
No, she's
But that's the
saying, if you're not keeping tier 1, because right now monocle cobras are put in tier 2, right? All right, so all they've kept, they've got a lapidary permit, and all they've kept is monocle cobras, they would only be grandfathered in as tier 2. They would not have a tier 1 license. But because currently they can buy any lapid species, they would go out, more than likely, go out and buy mambas or whatever species there are in tier 1 right now to be able to keep them, so that way they'll be grandfathered in as a tier 1 permit holder if it goes that
They
route.
could do that now.
They are doing that.
Well, that's what I'm saying. If you decide, that the reason people are doing it now is because they're expecting this to occur. And if you put their minds at ease a little bit more and work with them on this grandfathering and saying, yeah, you'll still be able to keep any animals in family of lapidary because that was what you originally licensed to have when you came in, you're probably not going to have that issue with folks going out and getting the others, because majority of people do not jump immediately to more advanced animals than what they're capable of doing. I mean, naturally, through training and things, I know individuals who have permits right now could walk out, buy king cobra, and they're in the process of going and still training under someone else to work with king cobras to make sure they're ready to keep them before they do it.
But then what's the difference in actually getting trained before you buy it? What's the harm in saying you can eventually get one, but you have to go through the training to prove you can have them? If
Well,
they're trained, why are they buying them beforehand when they're not the king cobras you're saying?
Because they're anticipating a personal ban. That's the point. And they would only be grandfathered in for the tier that they're qualified for, since tier 1 would be the personal ban. I know king cobras, I'm using that as an example, but say mambas or forest cobras or any of the other ones there, that maybe it's a dream snake or a bucket list snake for someone that they want to get eventually, but they're not ready. A lot of them more than likely will get them now. If this moves forward.
I mean, it's making sense to what he's saying.
We've already anticipated.
We've already anticipated that.
As long as you guys are prepared and understand that
So,
it's going to happen.
so just for clarification, if someone is permitted for all families, right now, and this changes, let's say they're permitted, but they may not have a mamba right now, or a king cobra, well, that wouldn't apply then, or a taipan or such. They would have to, even though they're covered right now, they would absolutely have to train for tier 1.
Yes.
No, they couldn't, personal use, so they still wouldn't be able to get it.
Upon the
And that's what I'm
Because of the
saying.
word possess in this right.
It should say, that this is just my opinion, it should say licensed for those animals at the time of 1 July, not possessed. I believe if you say licensed, that way it's a legitimate grandfather of individuals who have it.
So what if they don't possess them now, but 10 years ago they had the mambas and all the taipans and everything?
All of them is possessed by,
At some point.
at some point, you have possessed them.
Well, no, because we're saying,
That's not what it says, but.
It is what it says.
because, well, it says for the life of that specific animal.
clarify.
It says possessed prior to the date.
Yeah, if
So
there's
it
current
could be-
ownership, it doesn't mean previous ownership.
Yeah, differentiate between the two.
So that means 20 years ago, you could have had one, you don't have one now, but you still covered?
Not for tier 1.
Why not?
Because the personal use clause on there, it says for if you're keeping it for personal use, it has, you can keep those specific animals that you have in your possession at that time for the life of the animal. It does not say that you are grandfathered in to keep tier 1 species because you had tier 1 species at one time, unless you meet commercial definitions, then you're okay.
Commercial
Personal
ESC
use.
license.
Well, not based on that
How many
definition.
people don't have an ESC license right now? Is it like 45 out of 280 people?
I have no idea.
That's what you told me, I thought you told me, like 45 or 47 out of the 280 permits that were issued that don't have an ESC license.
Okay, and so
So my,
I'm trying to get it, are we, because you guys have lost me a little bit here. And so are we going in the right direction here?
We need to get clarity.
Because I need clarity, but I'm not sure you guys need clarity. And so let me go with you first.
Carol, what I think you're trying to say is, if you have some record that I had one of these animals in my possession 10 years ago, I would be okay to have them in the future.
Yes, if you show
But-
past inventory, you have before.
Right, but what happens if, no offense, Major, you didn't hear this, my facility wasn't inspected for 10 years, okay? So I had a lot of stuff in that facility, but I never was inspected. How can I prove to you that I had those animals?
You have an acquisition inventory record, don't you?
Well, I do because I have CLP tag numbers of all the dead animals that I have, but, I mean, you know, so I'm just trying to say that just,
That would be the challenge of someone that hadn't had a species for a long time.
yeah.
That would be a challenge.
Annual inventory that's submitted?
But that's a
It
fairly
wasn't
recent, that's a
for a while.
2008 rule too, so.
Yeah, and so you see what I'm trying to say, is somebody who, you know, I try to follow everything, but I would be a perfect example of it.
Well, if, this is a question. Yeah.
This saves some out.
If you haven't had, let's say, a mama in 15 years, wouldn't you want that person to get some training before they got one in?
No, other than that before.
And what if you work with them in the wild?
A lot of folks who do research, they don't keep them at their own homes.
Okay, let's do the research out of it, just for the sake of where I'm trying to go.
Well, that would still be handling the experiment.
If you haven't.
But I keep an inventory.
If you haven't,
Yeah.
Oh, I see what
if you haven't handled one in 15 years, wouldn't you want that person to have to show they can actually handle the animal still? Rather than just giving them black.
Yeah, I just think what's happening is it's so squishy and there's so much gray area and it's gonna be so hard to
So,
like navigate.
What do you guys recommend? And make a recommendation.
I would like to see a general grandfather, that if you're grandfathered for all families of all venomous today, then you're grandfathered for all tiers.
Well, that was my recommendation right
There's
there.
not gonna be that many of us involved, and we're getting older every day, we're gonna be dying out.
Going along with your bucket list comment about sending the state to your bucket list. Yeah, okay, so that's the, is that a, go ahead.
Okay, well, let's just capture it like this, because I think this will kind of fix it, is what I said previously, that under A, instead of possessing them at that time, is licensed for these animals by the state. You will be grandfathered in for them. So I think that's what everyone's looking at here. If you were licensed for the animal, that's at that date.
Okay,
So
we're gonna capture.
let's just make sure, I just want to make sure it's captured.
Yeah. Okay,
What's your initial thoughts? We know that idea came from you, not from somebody else.
all right.
I mean, don't you guys as law enforcement think that a straight grandfathering would be easier? Because here's an example, again, just devil's advocate. Somebody is permitted, full permitted, and let's say that they purchased 5 mambas, they had them for 4 months, they then sold them to a venom lab or another individual. Those don't show up in an inventory every 6 months. Not an inventory list of what's on hand when we put it in. Now, there may be paperwork in the file, but if that was 20 years ago, 10 years ago, how many people are keeping acquisition records for animals that they don't have anymore, and it's been how many ever years on hand. So here again, we get an issue where, how do you track that, and how do you tell that it's legitimate if someone just makes it up and says, but you can't cross-reference it with my inventory because it won't show up in between the 6-month inventory?
Okay, let me say where we're trying to go, and if you have a better way to do it, we're all ears. If you've never had experience with tier 1 animals, you want to make sure that you get some experience before you get them.
No, we understand that. I think, I'm speaking from a law enforcement, like from your saying, how do we enforce this? Because there's so much gray area and it's a little squishy and soft.
So how do we get there? Let's do it. How do
A
we?
straight grandfather. I mean, we get the
That's not
fact.
in there, though. That's not
Well,
in there. At all.
No, I mean, from a law enforcement standpoint, it makes it easier on you guys, but it doesn't from the training.
If you've never had experience with tier 1 animals, you should have to have experience first.
No, we get that.
So how do we
But
get that?
You can't prove it because because the way the system is set up now, they have the ability to lie to you.
You saying that's a lie laws?
I'm not, I don't have to worry about it. Except for my sea snake and I have those, so I have witnesses. You know what I'm saying? It's like,
So make a suggestion. Let's write it on the board.
well, you did, but it's not gonna meet the very structured law enforcement.
Sticking with Tony's suggestion, do you like that?
Like, if you've ever been licensed, you're good for life.
Okay, that's the suggestion on the board or up there.
Go with that.
Doctor?
Well, to stir that pot, I get what Kara is trying to say, is if I am licensed for a lapidate, which I am, and I have never worked a king cobra in my life,
Which is a tier 2.
which is a tier 2, but I currently am in license form, when this all goes in effect, what she's trying to say is, really, I need to have some experience. to
No,
go work
absolutely,
with
I
that.
get it and I concur.
So
I'm just saying, I
how
don't
do we
know
come
how
up
you,
with that?
I don't know how you enforce it.
Under the new system now, you have experience with rattlesnakes, you can get king cobra animals. Because they're tier 2. It's not,
I pulled the wrong species.
It's just a high pan.
High pan, you know, that's.
Yeah.
I get it. Now, my biggest argument has been forever that somebody working a coral snake, which is the same family, should be able to waltz out and buy a taipan. I get it. What I'm saying is, I think it's gonna be almost impossible for you guys to
Okay.
enforce.
Andrea and then I gotta move on. I think we've circled the drain on this for just a bit here, so.
To your point, we've already done kind of both styles of grandfathering. So when cougars got bumped up to class 1, we grandfathered the people for the inventory they had. We did the same thing with rocks. And then we've also done the other style where, when alligators got bumped up to tier 2, if you had them, we just allowed you to have that authorization. So we've done both styles and both styles have worked. It's possible. It's 100% possible. We just have to figure out what's going to work best, and what we're asking you for. So, we'll figure out the best way to enforce that, but we need the best way that you guys think will work for
And as I hear it right now, Tony's method is the way tag goes. All right, let's move on before we run out of day.
Yeah, and we hope that the people that don't seek the training, they know they need it, leave themselves out,
Bucket list. Okay. All right, let's keep going.
Darwin Award winners.
Well, the thing is, we're joking, but that doesn't do you guys any favors.
No.
No, it doesn't.
All right, let's keep going.
I'm okay with it.
Written exams, yes.
Let me ask a question on earth exams.
Go ahead.
I think.
Go ahead. Go ahead, answer, go ahead.
What's the goal of the written exams?
What is the goal with written exams? What is the goal with written exams? What is the goal? Yeah.
The goal is to make the person has some knowledge of animal.
not just the 1,000 hours of experience. We want to make sure that that experience correlates to.
Now, each one of these years in here, you're going to prep another exam that has to do specifically with that animal, with the natural history and biology of those, that group of animals. So that's the goal. And then the continuing education, what would you want in terms of the continuing education? Because it seems like for this, it's very different than a medical doctor or a pharmacologist. There's new drugs, there's new things coming out all the time. In keeping these animals and housing them, there's not a lot that changes every 3 years. I'm fine with the exams and things like that. I'm trying to just come up with the rationale behind continuing education from paper.
We've discussed developing a suite of continuing education.
Yeah, I mean, it's eventually developed, but right now, exams, all we have to offer as right, is an exam, but eventually, the course ever gets going, then that can be offered as a continuing education. Yeah, but right now, we will.
I mean, just to piggyback off of what Dr. Parkinson said, biology changes, but secondary containment and primary containment, how to keep these animals safely doesn't really change. I think that's what he's trying to get at as far as, even if we try and make this big, and I know Commissioner Pretty directly said that, and she's a businesswoman, and a lot of business, they've got, their online course, whatever they gotta do every 3 years, and medical professionals and everything. I think everyone was just trying to wrap their mind around, what can we do that will actually improve in keeping of venomous reptiles by using continuing education? And if we can somehow collectively come up with something that does that, by all means, I'm yours, but right now, I can't think of anything that you shouldn't have already learned when you went through either the training program or training under a mentor that you could possibly learn every 3 years.
I mean, how do you put in the individuals, who trains the trainers every 3 years? For those of us who are doing this constantly, who are either in the field or in the lab, or we have training facilities, or who trains the trainer? And if no one's there to train us, if we can't seek out anybody, then we're out of compliance. You know what I mean?
Well, is that true, or do they have to take the exam?
The exam.
And so the exam is your trainer, right? You know what you're
So
doing.
the exam changes every 3 years? You guys,
We wouldn't have just a bank of 25 questions, we have a big bank of questions.
and again, so a written exam,
Well,
I
what's
guess
that,
the
so I'm
intent
trying
is-
to figure out, what's the objection here?
because it's this is for working venomous snakes, it's not a where they found in the wild, what's their home range,
Sure.
right? That stuff does not change, right? So, what you're looking for, I would assume, if I was doing this is what I do, is their hands-on physical ability to work these animals, right? And no written test in the world will give you that product.
Okay, so is there an objection to the written test? Is that what I'm hearing?
No, to the every 3 years, taking some continuing education, little written quiz that really is just because you're jumping through the hoops for no apparent reason, because it's not going to give you anything. It's just,
So, is there no written question that you consider just like a brush through information, like if you you're handling these types of snakes, these are great tools for them, or there's nothing like that that would make you feel better?
but it's the same tools you're using, I mean,
No,
it's,
that you're using every day. Some people don't. What if you haven't had a species in a few years?
Well, that's what I was gonna address in a second. Instead of saying that all keepers need to do continuing education every 3 years, maybe say, if your license has lapsed or you have not kept venomous for that period of time, maybe you need to take a test or something to that effect that says, hey, yeah, I'm still up to date on everything, to make sure.
Okay.
Instead of saying, it's like we said, nothing's really changing for us.
Is that,
actually, I'll give you a better one.
go ahead.
Or those individuals have to go to a training facility, wherever it is, whatever is deemed, and they have to perform tasks of physical handling in front of professionals. I mean, that's what you're looking for.
Practical.
Yeah, exactly. That's what you're looking for, true.
You have to give an option one way or the other, though, that's what they can, you gotta give both, either or.
Yeah, you gotta give them both. If
It's
you want to know physical abilities, and physical abilities, what you're searching for, then that's what you get.
Yes.
I thought that was one of our topics the last time we met. That
It
there was a
was.
group review who all said
It
we
is.
need continuing edge, we need classes, we need hands-on classes.
Training, yeah.
So
Actual training.
I thought that's where all this came from. It was this group who was saying, we want something, and it sounded like some of you were gonna be the ones to develop it and conduct it and work with FWC.
But not a hands-on little quiz that, not hands-on, but not just a quiz.
Because I think what they're arguing is every few years there has to be a thing, and it's not necessarily meaningful.
Yeah, a skills
So,
training.
major.
We might be able to work that in because on page 12, letter C, we put a placeholder in there, applicants shall complete a commission-approved education and training course if such course is available. Which we haven't, it's not available yet, but we put a placeholder in there for it. We might be able to, put in there somewhere like every 3 years, if a refresher training course is available, go to. But my question is, to y'all, who's gonna be the one to volunteer their time to have a, gotta be careful, 18-year-old snotty-nosed kid saying, hey, mister, I need you to check me off on the snake again. I mean, are you all?
Well, if he's 18, it's not again, because he hasn't had his permit long enough to hold the license.
I was trying to think of the youngest possible age, but you know what I mean. I mean, y'all are busy, you travel the world, everybody else has got, so.
And yet I still train people.
So,
I mean, it is absolutely feasible.
but are you willing to, I think what the major's saying is, are you willing to not only spend the time, but also take the risk of doing a hands-on refresher?
I already do it already.
Okay.
In my training courses. Venom you, cross you, I already do it.
Just,
Yes, just nothing bad about that.
Well, but it's not just a yes, it's,
yeah.
I'm already doing it.
So do you guys see what they would like to add?
I see a lot more value in that than somebody taking tests, but by the ninth year, they know all the questions.
Yeah.
I mean, I get it.
Okay, very good. Point valid. You guys capture that?
Moving on.
All right, let's move on. Let's move down. Where are we headed next? Yeah, I went back up.
You just went up?
Well, I went up for your thing, and I think I'm coming back down.
So we did up.
Yeah, then we're going to see course for 3 years.
Hang on, slow down.
Oh, sorry. I thought we just discussed the course.
I think the next one.
We did, but there's still a little bit more here we need to.
Okay. Well, we were right in here somewhere, like right there.
But you weren't that one.
What do you got there?
Just trying to think, we all talked about the antivenin thing or access to a local antivenin bank. I don't, first off, that needs to be changed to antivenin bank, not venom. bank.
This?
Yes.
Local.
Oh, yes.
Right here.
Right.
Then anything.
So,
Anti.
what does local mean?
Where did Andrew go? So let's make sure that we capture that.
Okay.
So for E, local anti-venom, the question is, what does local mean?
And y'all thoughts?
Yeah, we had that conversation, I knew that was gonna come up. How do you qualify local, and, is it 24 hours, is it within 16 hours? And, kind of wish Jack was here, but, we'll reach out to you. What is,
Or anything within the state, Venom one has the ability.
To take it anywhere in the state within a few hours.
Yeah. So, I mean, so you're talking about probably from there to the farthest point of the area, the Panhandle point, 3 hours, max. So they can cover the whole state.
So local would be in the state.
And it
So-
won't need to be in the rule, right, that's what I'm trying to get at. We brought it up before, but if everyone in the state has that, because it's publicly owned, anyone has access to it in the state. And I get where Dr. Parkinson was coming from, that if someone is envenomated, they take venom from a zoo or a research facility, antivenin from a research facility. They're putting their staff at risk in that situation, but at the same time, like we said, Miami-Dade can have that antivenin airlifted very quickly. In addition to that, Kurt was telling me yesterday, apparently there's one in Tampa that's being opened. I don't know when they're going to be open, but that'll be another much more centrally located facility that can get antivenin quickly.
So how do we reword this then?
I think we should just strike it
Just strike it.
personally.
And just put antivenin bank available.
Just strike both?
Antivenin bank.
Well, we want to strike Florida, which wasn't.
Right, no.
Everybody's got access to Florida.
But they are,
We're only talking about Florida.
So, okay, hang on, I think I get where you're coming. So you're saying basically like if Miami-Dade shut down for whatever reason, you want to make sure people still have access to anything. Okay, that's why you want to have the rule there. I get that. As of now, everyone in the state does have access to Venom 1. So I don't have an issue personally if we leave it there and say anti-venom bank in state. You know, so that way we know there's always one there. I don't see an issue with that.
In the state of Florida.
In the state of Florida.
Florida.
Okay, all right,
Yeah.
we got it.
I'm good with that.
All right.
Add a Florida antivenin bank.
Or maybe Florida anti-venom bank sounds like better language, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because
Florida anti-venom
that
bank.
makes it where if you have a species that Venom 1, if they don't carry the antivenin for
Here,
it,
you got that? Or
then they have to carry it individually. But Venom 1 covers almost every species that's commonly kept,
Okay,
so they should have it.
all right, let's keep going. It's 3:29. Yes, sir, sorry.
Just going to back up a little bit, and I'm sure that somebody will give me a good answer. It says here in section C where we were just at, and it's in about 3 or 4 other places, that when you take this attempted written exam and you fail, you got to wait 6 months from the day of the last examination. Why 6 months?
After 3 failures.
After three failures?
I think that's pretty reasonable. If you fail 3
strikes
times,
and you gotta wait.
yeah, come on.
Okay, I hear you, but my question has not been answered. That's just rhetoric. Why? What's wrong with 30 days?
What's 6 months? Why is,
That means,
If you fail 3 times, probably will get some more training for you.
so the training may take 6 months?
well, if you can do it in 30 days, why can't you take it in 30 days?
Good question.
And then, are you going to put a limit to how many times a person can take the test when they totally can never take the test? I mean, this is so arbitrary right here. I'm looking at this, and 6 months, 180 days. What I'm concerned about is somebody going,
So you want it a year?
no, 30 days. Even if they fail 3 times in a row, I mean, you don't say, how often can I take the test? It just says, applicants who fail the written exam in 3 attempts. You don't have a duration between attempts. How often do you give the exam? Where is the exam given?
Don't send that
So
one.
do you want to go every 30 days you can take it, so you take?
Can you provide that? Can you do it every, I mean, what can you guys do? What do y'all
Well,
do?
that's an onus on the state. We have to get people to proctor that exam. So if you fail it 3 times, there's gotta be some sort of regress.
Yeah, right.
I mean, 6 months is a fair, we're trying to balance it to fair. I mean, we have to have someone available to do that test.
Well, you have phenomenal staff.
Just
Appreciate it. Hooker said we could stretch Rick Powell, stretch somebody else a little bit.
Yeah, and Joan, in 30 days, they may not change their mind in 6 months.
Okay, so we've got that written down, why 6 months, and suggestion of maybe 30 days. Let's keep going down.
Okay, so I have no idea where we are in this whole thing. We've jumped around so much.
Page
On 4.2A.
Would give me a
4.2A.
Which page is it?
I'm in numeral. I don't know if I'm on the list.
Why don't you look at your notebook? They gave you the notebook.
Because I got all my notes in my computer, because I'm not
Fill up, I think you gotta go out.
And once you relate
Up
it,
again, we need to be going back.
What's the first word? Page? Applicant shall meet. This is
There's 3.
if they have worked under a license vendor for the needed, for not less than 18 months. This is about possession of,
where the hell are they?
We don't worry about it.
wait, scan it, I'll tell you.
Okay, that's 4.
Well, we jumped all the way down, even though we said, wait a minute, there's some stuff, so you're probably way too deep on it.
You're at the top of the page, down,
We're at the top of that page?
down.
Down. That's what I thought we were.
Right
We're
there.
at
No,
3.
you were there, right, Sean?
Yeah, so it's the same thing, because so here it says for no less than 24 months. The one before these, I think says 18 months. So they have to have this permit. They've already gone through the training. They submit their hours, they get the permit, and then they have to have the permit for 2 years before they can try, even if they've already got the training, before they can try to go to the next tier.
Is that a question?
Yeah, I mean, that's what this is saying, right?
I'm not-
Yeah.
So we've got the major,
It's more than just the training. It's proving your track record. Not having an incident, having at least one good inspection with no issues, and just giving you the time and demonstrating that you're proficient at tier 2, at a tier, before moving on. So, well, yeah, I've got the training, so we just don't want people going, ooh,
Okay. Okay, that's what I'm asking. So if you come in and you get your tier 3, the absolute earliest you could progress up into tier 1 is 3.5 years.
18 months plus 24 months.
And one point to make when looking at this is marrying up those hours, because we're saying 18 months. If you work with Venomous for 1 hour a day for 18 months, it basically comes up to a little over 500 hours total that we're looking at. And that's just 1 hour a day. And we're saying it's 200 hours, but you gotta keep them for 18 months. So you need to kind of pick one or the other. All right, whether it be bring the hours up or drop the amount of time you have to wait to get the next
No,
one.
it's 18 months with the previous license before you can get the next level. So you have your tier 3 specimen for 18 months. You get your 200 hours with tier 2 species during that 18 months. Then after 18 months, you can go up to tier 2 species.
I'm sorry, yeah, you're right.
okay.
Okay, no, hang on. You get your 200 hours before you get your permit.
Right.
Not
You-
during. Well,
No.
so it's not during the
no,
18
hold on.
months.
No, I get a tier 3 license.
Yeah,
I can't get a tier 2 license for 18 months, right?
right.
I have those tier 3s for 18 months. During that 18 months, I can get my 200 hours for the tier 2. And when that 18 months is up, I can get my tier 2 species.
Yeah. I thought you were talking about backing up on the same.
Oh, no.
Okay. Keep it going. Good, we're doing fine. 335.
Wait a minute, we got this 12 sales.
Have we already passed that yet? I don't think we're there yet on that.
Okay, I'm trying to.
We're not there yet.
Again? We're crying out loud.
I'm looking to be mining here, so.
We just dealt with
This is
that.
the
We covered that.
examination for, right, and so that's, we
And
did
they
that.
and bank, we covered that.
We covered that, and so I'm continuing to go down.
And I don't think I'm gonna have any objections to the corporation stuff.
Okay, all right. Facility requirements.
All right, this is where we're probably gonna get hung up.
Nonsense.
All right,
Well, starting.
The 12 sales per year is right above where we were just at with the 24 months. It's literally the section just above it. So we did.
all right, just do the 12 cells a year.
Yeah, so it says in here that basically sale is defined as to include no less than 12 sales per year, which then qualifies you to be commercial, right? So that doesn't take into account those individuals who, like we talked about before, may be producing a fairly rare species that's expensive. These things are producing once a year. And 12 cells, it doesn't include those who produce for venom labs or specific outlets, wholesalers, and they make one sale.
Okay, how do we fix that? Major?
I have a question. How many of the 291, how many fall into that?
I don't know, but I can tell you when I used to produce a lot for venom labs, and now they would basically take my entire stock. And we're talking about hundreds of animals.
Year to year and a half.
So would it be beneficial to do something like 12 sales per year or X number of specimens per year? Like, how do we fix it? What would be
Yeah,
your
how do we
suggestion?
fix
Your suggestion?
I don't know, we deliberated over this before, because then you get into people who have, helodramatids, and they're producing a low quantity of animals, Gila monsters, Gila lizards. They're producing a small quantity of, or small number of specialized animals. That's the problem, is we're trying to push everything into one hole, and it sometimes just doesn't work,
So I need a suggestion then.
Does this help you that our definition of sales include any barter, exchange, trades? You can't trade a snake without having a commercial license. So that, all those are included in this. So is still 12 too much to ask for with that?
There's some specialty people that are doing, let's say, exactly that, beaded lizards or Gila, so if we just got rid of the permit, this would solve it. 12, if you've got 2 pairs, of pretty rare species, it may not be 12. You remember, we're talking about us, and nobody's really like bartering and trading, they still only have so many animals that they can deal with, you know what I mean?
Right, Andrew?
2 things. Keep going back to heliodramatids, but this specifically applies to tier 1 only, correct?
Same thing I was gonna say.
So, and
Yeah,
then
okay,
secondly, how do we fix it?
Yeah, that's what we're on. It seems like there's some openness to fix it.
Well, that's why we were talking about earlier, we're trying to talk about value, that's.
We
I'm
can
not
set
saying,
criteria. We
Oh.
can do 12 sales per
Nobody
year
has a
for
problem?
this or that.
we do have a
We
problem.
multiple.
Okay.
There's only 2.
Yeah, 12 sales is an issue for some people.
So,
All of these things are arbitrary in my view, and if we're purchasing a commercial license, which is the ESC license, I don't understand still, nobody's given me a compelling reason why that shouldn't suffice.
okay,
So,
Well,
hold on, she's got.
So one of the challenges, even with our ESCs, is then commercial sales. So somebody comes in and says, hey, someday I'd like to sell stuff. So they have no commercial license, they don't have a business license, they don't have jack. And I'm just being, this is a safe zone, right? Safe zone,
Yeah,
I'm just
keep
being
going,
honest
yeah.
here. A challenge that we've had with our law enforcement, with my staff, have been, how do you show that you actually do your commercial business that is doing true bartering and sale? What bar do we use to show that? So we're challenged with that, to actually show proof or some sort of bar. We need a bar. We need you guys to help us find what that bar is.
And
Somebody
12 is the
coming
bar
in-
right now.
Somebody coming in and saying, hey,
Where
you
do
know,
we
this
come
is pretty
from?
awesome. I want to get a commercial license. I'm
Hold
going
on,
to sell
we
it.
got
I
Eugene
never
and
have
then-
to prove it to you, and I don't have to show you what that bar is, and you haven't defined what that bar is. We collectively haven't defined what that bar is. It makes it a challenge. We need you guys to help us figure out what is commercial use and what is reasonable. And I understand your point with the heliodramatids. They're tier 1, so they're not in that tier. So
Tier 3.
but they're in tier 3, I guess is my point. But we need you guys to help us define what that is.
No, we get that, and I think part of what happened was, sorry.
You're jumping my line, go, Eugene.
To help her out over there, there's a lot of good faith intent with commercial license. There's a lot of good faith intent with the IRS and the Department of Florida State Department of Revenue for engaging in commerce. You may be 5 or 6 years, and you're gonna need an ESC license to be able to acquire animals from somebody else, to build up stock, that sort of stuff. And if somebody is increasing their facility, maintaining all the caging requirements, and growing the inventory of their collection, or their facility, I should say collection, wrong choice of words, that at some point in time, those cows are gonna produce, you know what I'm saying? And I think you have the inspectors that you have can discern between somebody that's just, off the chart. I understand you wanna have something in writing. I don't know where that's exactly a really, really big problem for y'all, other than the fact that, you want to hamstring on people. You've got to let people, you got to have some room for noise in the system. And I don't hear a lot of noise complaining coming back that justifies this over-aggressiveness on trying to clamp down on stuff. Because there are people that I know, that need that permit to build up a legitimate inventory, to cover their business expenses. As long as you show the government, the federal government, the intent, and the intent is not necessarily, you don't have to make profit, but you have to have, you know, your business has to grow, your expenses have to grow, all these tangible assets have to be growing. I mean, let's face it, Chrysler went 13 years before they ever turned a profit. I'm not saying that somebody's gonna take that long, but I don't think that's a real big issue. I think we have more important things that we should have as agency focusing on than that initiative.
Okay, Ken,
I agree with you, Eugene, but the crux, the only reason why this is here is if the animals become non-personal use, commercial use only. So this wouldn't be in effect if that wasn't. So we don't want just an ESC to cover it. The ESC, it does not meet what you just said, Eugene, so they have to do something. Well, what is that something they have to do for us to be able to say, yeah, you're a legitimate business, you are growing, you're registered with SunBiz, so you actually do have a business, you just don't have an ESC, and say you want these animals just for really for personal collection. And we run into this problem with Class 1 animals all the time, and it's, if they go to personal, non-personal use, that's kind of where they're gonna be, in the same category, where you just can't have them because you want them.
Well, hold on a second, excuse me. So you're saying my ESC license is not a commercial license?
It's a commercial license, but that does not say that you are commercial in nature. It doesn't say you're.
What does it say? Because you're contradicting yourself.
No, it says that you can sell animals, but it doesn't say that that's what you do as a business. You have to be a legitimate commercial entity to have these certain animals. Tigers are one.
One.
These, and if this goes through, tier 1s will be another.
all right, I had Tony.
Okay, I just want to read real quick the portion about exhibition as well for commercial licenses, because I do think this is going to be an issue. It says, exhibition at a licensed facility where reptiles shall be displayed for the general public to observe during normal business hours with or without charge. The location and business hours of the exhibit shall be advertised to the general public via signs, billboards, flyers, radio, or television advertisements, or an active internet website. Now, we discussed at the last meeting, there's a lot of individuals who may not have a facility that they want people to visit, but they do traveling exhibits, myself included. I will, if somebody calls me up privately and says, hey, I'd like to come see your facility, see what you got and everything, absolutely I will. But I do not open to the general public. However, I do several outreach events a year. I bring snakes out there for people to see. I do full Florida native display. I even go to Georgia to Claxton Rattlesnake Festival and bring snakes up there for folks to see and support them. Based on that, I would not be able to use, granted, I'm talking about rattlesnakes, but this can also apply to mambas or any other species, because it helps bring people in. They're like, well, I've got mambas here, people want to show up just to see the snakes, all right? I would not qualify as an exhibitor based on this, because I'm not open to the public for people to come in and look at it. And I don't think that is really a great bar to set. Maybe, I mentioned this before, we could say there's a certain amount of public displays that you need to do a year to be considered an exhibitor other than being open, whether it be like, say, you need to do 2 outreach events a year or something like that, in addition to this, so that keeps it open for traveling exhibits. But I really think we need to capture people who are doing outreach events.
Our goal is for tier 1 not to have mobile exhibits.
Why?
There's probably a greater risk of them getting out or something happening if they're going off the facility, not closed within enclosure, if they're outside.
The biosecurity piece.
Okay.
All right, here's the thing, it's 3:45. And we need a half an hour for public comment from the group. So we need to start moving, like, quick. Yes, sir.
Just ask a question, just a show of hands, how many people are going to use the public comment period?
Oh, yeah. All right, so we've got 5, 6 people.
6 times 3 is 18 minutes, so
Okay,
that's some wiggle room.
all right, sounds good.
6 minutes each then.
Come on, we've got bartering.
Days, 3 minutes of
Yeah.
So no one knows you want us to do it. It's not gonna happen. So the reason we didn't follow up on this, even though we talked about it last time, is I think the tag was under the idea that because our recommendation was about biosecurity and bolstering the enclosures and the containment, that would satisfy this desire to preclude ownership by personal, right? And if we were to do that, again, this is another item that would be covered and it would become a moot point. Just saying.
All right. Andrew, do you have that captured? Because you do. All right. Cool. Let's move on.
Where are you at now?
Well, I was,
14, I think.
Right there.
About,
oops, sorry. This facility?
What's everyone's feelings on multi-unit dwelling for venomous across the board?
So the question is, what's everybody's feelings on the across the board multi-unit dwelling?
I'm okay with
Yeah. We got lots of head shaking saying they agree.
Well, I don't know that I agree. I hate to be the one that's always objecting to these things, but again, why is it a problem?
I'm with Kurt.
Has anybody, I mean, I don't know, I haven't lived in an apartment building for a long time, but at one time when I was in school in undergrad, I lived in an apartment building, and I had a couple of rattlesnakes at that time. And I'm assuming there are people that are out there doing that now, so why is that a problem? If they're going to be able to meet containment requirements, why is it a problem?
Well, I think the initial recommendation was that tier 2 and tier 3, we were all right with them keeping those in multi-unit dwellings. And we said tier 1 because we were considering elevated biosecurity requirements, that those should be kept in a single-family home or facility, not in multi-unit dwelling. I think that was the initial recommendation. Personally, I believe that if the animal is kept in an escape-proof room, all vents are screened, doors are screened, or door sweeps are put in, and it's escape-proof, there should be no reason why they should not be able to keep a venomous reptile in a multi-unit dwelling. And the other question,
are you specifically stating tier 3 and 2, or and excluding one?
personally, I think all of them should be able to be kept in it if they can meet the requirements. I don't believe many people will be able to meet the requirements of having like a safety door and additional things like that in an apartment complex, but some may be able to meet that requirement.
So that's
Now,
registered there.
The question, because I know there are several people who are permanent right now that do multi-unit dwellings, what is the disposition of these animals in the event that they stay in a multi-unit dwelling and these 2 years elapse? Are you guys going to go and pick these things up and confiscate them? Are you going to cite them? What's the plan here?
They'll have to place them.
What's that?
They'll have to place them. Choose not to fulfill their requirements.
What if they can't place?
They-
What's the disposition?
And they can come over after every 2 months. They won't be able to keep the animal after 2 years, we don't have so
What do they do, y'all use that?
It's doing it now.
Do you use that?
Well, they would surrender them to FWC. I don't know what we do.
No, they take them, if FWC takes them, they can't really look at it, they use that.
We haven't yet, not yet.
You guys place them in another facility?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what they do now.
But if you can't find a place, it isn't permanent.
Well, I don't know.
That's a rabbit hole.
So we'll give them all to you.
While we're here,
Does FWC or anybody have the ability to pass a
Confiscate
rule
property.
that makes something that's legal now illegal for people who are permitted and then force them to relinquish everything?
go on the ground.
Oh, you're not forced them to relinquish in the sense, well, they have to come into compliance. It's not like we're going to take them at that
Forfeiture.
point, but it's illegal for them to have them. So they've got to do something with them. If they're not, they're going to get cited.
I mean, I'll be honest with you, I've been getting calls and emails constantly about this, and this was a real hot topic about if someone's not able to meet facility requirements. FWC will have a civil suit on hand regarding this. I'm not saying I'm threatening you that I'm gonna go out and sue you guys, I'm just letting you know, it's already out there. Some folks have already talked to some attorneys about the liability of removing someone's property because of facility requirements that were increased later. when they were able to meet those facility requirements at one point, but they were changed. Alright, I just want you to be aware that
I
it's
appreciate
it's gonna.
All right, and that's, I
I'm
think,
not involved in that.
okay, let's keep going. I think we noted that, that's good. Any other things?
Where's the portion about one of the walls being a glass window?
Hold on a second, I have a question.
Yeah.
So it says, just above all, strikeout, cages and doors, cages shall be sealed, the doors of each cage shall be securely locked. Does that mean all our rack systems and everything have to have individual locks on each slide out? And we put it, so we have to mod, we can buy this, you would have to come in, even though, like for the facility that I use, there's 4 doors to get to where the venomous room is. I still would have to go in and retrofit all of the racks to have some bar that goes down. Because that's where I'm coming from.
I thought we talked about this the last time.
Yeah,
We
it
did.
is.
Said
Secondary.
That's why we have secondary containment. Secondary containment is equal to
I
greater
know this
containment.
does.
Yeah.
Well, we get it.
And I
Well-
know Jack said that the venom labs are gonna have serious
They're
issues
gonna,
with
that's
requiring
another
every
one.
cage.
But so what they're saying is it's not modified in here.
That's correct.
It is personal model.
It should say secure, not locked, is I think is what everyone's getting at. And a rack, I think we all considered was secured last
All
time.
right, let's copy, let's write that down.
And cages with sliding glass doors need to
I
have.
do remember that conversation.
All the tracks that are screwed to rivet.
Yes.
Yeah, that was a gas.
Wasn't the conversation with the door, and the rack system did come up, but I don't think we resolved it. But everyone for the biosecurity said they wanted locked cages in a locked room.
We said secured cages. no
Secured
locked.
cages.
There's a big difference,
What
right?
was discussed.
Because I don't see, because the thing is, the locks are there to prevent people from getting in, not to prevent the snake from getting out, right? So if the room itself is locked, that prevents someone from getting into the room, or is at least a good faith effort to keep someone from getting into the room. In order to keep the snake from getting out of the cage, it must be secured in some fashion, and I mean, I've been using racks for a long time. I've never had a snake get out of a rack unless it was improperly constructed or there was some sort of faulty material or something to that effect. You know, and as far as sliding glass cage doors go, you know, you can use a bolt or anything like that that goes to the glass that can hold it in place. As long as there's some sort of device that keeps the doors from being opened by the snakes, I don't see anything
Okay,
with that.
so what we're talking about is eliminating lock and secured, and just secure.
Yeah, just say shall be secure.
Shall be secure. That's the thing on the board, I gotta keep us moving, so, yeah.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say, a little bit further on, it does say for the tier 2s and 3s that they can be in unlocked enclosures as long as the room itself is locked. So I think what you're saying is proposed a little further down.
But that's only for tier 2 and 3. We're saying this should be across the board. Honestly, there shouldn't really be any difference in these escape-proof room versus tier 1, 2, and 3. It should all be in one solid paragraph that says the room, and this is what we were talking about earlier, the room shall be escape-proof, the primary enclosure shall be escape-proof and needs to meet all these requirements, primary enclosure must be secured, et cetera, et cetera. All that should be one solid paragraph, don't break it up by tier, because it just makes it convoluted and it starts getting really confusing, especially when you have more than one tier being kept in one facility too. That's really
Does
gonna
that
be
make it
confusing.
easier for you guys to have, you know,
I got you.
housing? Bang. This is what it has to be very clearly spelled out.
Let's rip.
Keeping any venomous thing, you have to have this, this, and this. Would that be easier for you?
Because we have to play with it and see.
Okay, because I think everybody sitting here feels very strongly that no matter what tier animal, if we use that system, it has to be an escape-proof primary enclosure and an escape-proof secondary containment room. Yep. I think everybody agrees with that for all three.
Andrew, you got that? Okay, Rick, and then I'm gonna move on.
Yeah, the purpose of the lock is not to keep the animal in, it's to prevent unauthorized intrusion.
Yes, sir.
We can address that.
So,
Yeah, that we brought that
All
up.
right,
One thing I'd like to see clarified in paragraph A here, we're talking about molded fiberglass, plywood, solid wood, excluding materials constructed of lumber byproduct. I really would like to see it more clearly defined to say, you know, MDF board, melamine or OSB, those